Winners and losers from Week 12. Kirby Smart is a winner. A winner to call this an onside kick after just scoring a touchdown to make it 21-10. The first onside kick of his tenure at Georgia. Later in the drive, Gunnar Stockton to Lawson Lucky to make it 28-10. Dogs scored 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, go on to win it 35-10, their third straight win against Texas. Back here with Beanie Wells, Adam Breneman. Georgia defeats Texas for a third straight time. Adam, what stood out this time?
It was how well Gunnar Stockton played in this ball game. Gunnar Stockton 24-29, had 5 total touchdowns, threw for 4, ran for 1 himself, ran the ball for a couple of first downs in this game as well. It was also Georgia and how they dominated the momentum of this game. When Georgia was up by 11 points, go with the onside kick to seal the game. It was over from that point forward, and Georgia's defense played well as well.
You know, I thought Georgia's defense played phenomenally. I thought they controlled the line of scrimmage and caused chaos all night long for Arch Manning, who I believe made progress throughout the season in the last couple of weeks, started showing that he was a top-tier quarterback. But Georgia's defensive line was in his face the entire night. They were blanketing the wide receivers, giving them no time to throw. They couldn't create any separation. And then the most important stat, something I talked about before the game, I knew Texas would have to be able to run the football. They were not able to run the football at all tonight. Only 23 yards rushing. That defense for Georgia was so stifling and stingy all night long. They looked like a top-5 football team.
Georgia's 6th straight win since their loss to Alabama. Speaking of Alabama, plenty of winners in the SEC and losers. Oklahoma goes on the road and beats Alabama, aided by scoring 17 points off of 3 tied turnovers. And Beanie, look, Brent Venables' defense creating chaos.
Oh, man, they were all over the place. I mean, I loved everything that I saw from his defense. The defensive line stepped up in a major way. I knew coming into this game, and I'm going to say something similar I just talked about with Texas. I knew coming into this football game, if they were going to have an opportunity to win being Alabama, they would have to run the football. They put too much on the shoulders of a young quarterback in Ty Simpson. They put him in situations to where he was trying to dig themselves out of holes. And when you look at Oklahoma on the flip side of this, their offensive numbers weren't great, but they made plays when they needed to. John Mateer stepped up in the biggest of moments. Didn't throw the ball exceptionally well for a bunch of yards, but when his team needed him to convert on third down, he stepped up and was able to do that. When he had to pull the ball down and get the extra yardage with his legs, he did that. That was the deciding factor in this football game.
Had a huge rushing touchdown.
Yeah, he really did. John Mateer played well and took care of the football, didn't turn it over. But this Oklahoma team won this game because of their head coach's identity, what Brent Venables does on defense. And John Mateer plays with that identity as well when he's running the football, lowering his shoulder, making plays on 3rd and 4th down, making plays in the red zone with his legs. But the best part of this Oklahoma defense was the takeaways, the 4 sacks, causing chaos and pressure that really confused Ty Simpson and got him off his game all day long. Brent Venables loves to create chaos on defense. They did it from the 1st to the 4th quarter.
And Alabama's 17-game home win streak snapped because of miscues and mistakes. And Adam, you didn't like the play calling from Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer has to manage these kind of games better. At the very end of this game, Alabama blew a timeout when they were trying to win the game. If they would have kept that timeout, they probably would have had a chance to get the ball back at the very end of the game. There were tons of times in this game, and it's been something that's happened throughout Kalen DeBoer's career, where he's mismanaged timeouts, where the team isn't disciplined, where they're not getting play calls in on time. Those are the kind of things in Tuscaloosa there's not much tolerance for.
Yeah, one of the things, though, when I look at Alabama that I have to question is their identity. Right now, we're not seeing Alabama be a physical football team. And when they put the ball in the air 42 times with a young quarterback, it shows me you want to be a finesse team, a team that pushes the ball downfield. Well, we all know when we go back in years past and look at Alabama, when things get ugly, they're able to dominate in the trenches. And they could not get it done tonight in that way.
Oklahoma, the first SEC team to beat Alabama in back-to-back seasons since Ole Miss in 2014 and 2015. And Alabama and Oklahoma now have 4 wins against ranked teams. That's most in FBS. Biggest winner of the day, Texas A&M. Aggies pull off the biggest comeback in school history, down 30-3 at halftime. Texas A&M outscored South Carolina 28-0 in the second half. And Beanie, Marcel Reed was the difference in that second half.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, the ability to go 16 of 20, 298 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air after the first half that he had was insane. He was straight up surgical in the second half of this football game, just sitting back, dissecting that zone defense. And Mike Elko talked about it. He said his team needed to get back to their identity. And what is that identity? Being a physical football team in the trenches. That's something you're going to hear tonight a lot. The trenches win football games. When we get to October and November, those championship teams start to separate themselves. We saw Texas A&M come back and start to do that.
This was a championship DNA game for Texas A&M. To come back like this when everyone thought the game was over, down 27 points, such a wild comeback. And 2 different teams we saw in the first and second half. But now no matter what happens through the rest of Texas A&M's final couple games, throughout the college football playoff, when they're down in one of those games, it's not going to be an issue for Texas A&M because they can look at their quarterback Marcel Reed and say, he brought us back from down 27 points against South Carolina. It's the kind of game that really gives your team momentum, gives everyone belief, and lets everyone know we can win in any moment.
The historic comeback happens on the same day Mike Elko gets a new deal, a sigh of relief. You can't lose on the same day you get a deal that makes you one of the highest paid coaches in college football. You also can't lose this game if you're up 30-3 at halftime. It's unacceptable. South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer knows that's the truth.
This is, the 6th game that was a 1-score game going into the 4th quarter. The 3rd SEC game, Alabama, Missouri, and A&M that we led going into the 4th quarter. And it makes me want to puke because whatever, he knows the stats, whatever our record was around here going into the 4th quarter was pretty darn stellar going into this season. And for whatever reason, we haven't been great in the 4th quarter.
So he said it makes him want to puke, and I'm sure Gamecock fans are also just cannot believe what happened, right? Because we'll throw that word around, I can't believe, it's unbelievable. Like, I kind of can't believe that this actually happened, up 30-3, because there was a note that since 2004, teams down 27 points in SEC games were 0-286. Now they're 1-286. What broke down for the Gamecocks in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a South Carolina fan, the part I'm most disappointed about is that it's the head coach's job to make sure your team doesn't collapse like that. To know these are 18, 19-year-old kids, and they're up 27 points against Texas A&M at halftime. I got to make sure they're dialed in. To what went wrong, it was South Carolina got dominated on the line of scrimmage, looked like a completely different team after halftime. Shane Beamer was going around Texas A&M's field and hyping up the crowd during the game. I mean, it really looked like they lost some focus. And for Shane Beamer, they didn't just lose this game. This is the kind of collapse that follows a head coach around in their career. It is tough to get through. And, I mean, Shane Beamer has a big game against Clemson, last game of the year at South Carolina. I don't think he can survive a loss in that game.
Yeah, this was an ugly performance in the second half by South Carolina. When you're a team like South Carolina that, created so many opportunities for yourselves, forcing turnovers, and you don't come out and you get up that much and you don't come out in the second half and put pedal to the metal and push the gas on the offensive end, you go back to being kind of conservative. I thought that was one of the deciding factors in this football game. You have to push the envelope, continuing to try to score points. I thought they got comfortable. They got so comfortable. They weren't dialing up pressures like they were in the first half from the defensive side. They made nothing confusing for Marcel Reed like they did in the first half. They had a bunch of different defensive variations that they threw at him that caused him to be in those situations to where he was throwing interceptions, and his timing was off. Second half, they gave him plenty of time, had no pressure on him the entire time.
Aggies' largest comeback win in school history, 27 points, 10-0 as they remain undefeated. Best start to a season since 1992. All right, here's a look at the odds to win the national championship. Ohio State, the favorite to run it back at plus 180, followed by Indiana, chasing their first football title in school history, and Texas A&M right there at plus 650. Interesting to see that those are going to be the top 4 teams when the college football playoff rankings come out on Tuesday. The last school to win back-to-back natties, Georgia, in 2021 and 2022.